Hey everyone, we miss you, but we're so thankful to be able to gather together for our first ever online student service. Lots of things are constantly changing right now, but you can always count on finding us here at 7 o'clock every Wednesday. And listen, the good times don't stop here. We've got so much happening throughout the week, so check it out on our Instagram. If it's your first time visiting Sevier Heights, we're so excited you're here online with us. And if you've been with us before, welcome back. For the next couple of weeks, we'll be diving into the book of Daniel as we walk through our new series, Even Here. We're excited to see where God takes us during this time together. So let's dive on in.
We're ready to meet with you guys. If you're at home, if you're in your car, if you're on the road and you're driving, don't watch, just listen. But we'd invite you to sing with us right now.
Hold me now in the hands that created heavens. Find me now where the grace runs as deep as your skies. You pull me from the clay, set me on a rock, call me by your name, and made my heart whole again. Lifts it up, and my knees know it's all for your glory, that I might stand with more reasons to sing than to fear. You pulled me from the clay, set me on a rock, call me by your name, and made my heart whole again. So here I stand, high and surrender. I need you now. Hold my heart now and forever. My soul cries out. Once I was broken, but you love my whole heart through. Sin has no hold on me, 'cause your grace holds me now. And that grace holds the crown where the grave did, where all my shame remains, left for dead in your way. You crashed those age-old gates, you left no stone unturned. You stepped out of that grave and shouldered me all the way. So here I stand, high and surrender. I need you now. Hold my heart now and forever. My soul cries out. Once I was broken, but you love my whole heart through. Sin has no hold on me, 'cause your grace holds me now. Come on. Healed and forgiven. Look where my chains are now. Death has no hold on me, 'cause your grace holds that ground. And your grace holds me now. Your grace holds me now. Your grace holds me now. Your grace holds me now.
Wherever you are, He's calling us as a people forward only, never backwards, but forward in surrender. So if wherever you are, if you're comfortable, just raise your hands and surrender to Him now. Surrendering the anxiety, surrendering the fear, surrendering the worry, surrendering your homes, your families, your loved ones, your friends. Come on, lay it down. Sing. So here I stand, high in surrender. I need you now. Hold my heart now and forever. My soul cries out. Here I stand, high in surrender. I need you now. Hold my heart now and forever. My soul cries out. Here I stand, high in surrender. I need you now. Hold my heart now and forever. My soul cries out. Once I was broken, but you love my whole heart through. Sin has no hold on me, 'cause your grace holds me now. Healed and forgiven. Look where my chains are now. Death has no hold on me, 'cause your grace holds that ground. And your grace holds me now. 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 Healed and forgiven. Look where my chains are now. Death has no hold on me, 'cause your grace holds that ground. Your grace holds me now. Your grace holds me now. I'm caught up in your presence, and I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessing. And Jesus, you don't owe me anything. And more than anything that you can do, I just want you. And I'm sorry when I've just gone through the motions. I'm sorry when I just sang another song. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. And I'm sorry when I come with my agenda. I'm sorry when I forgot that you're enough to take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. Don't just worship Him. And I'm caught up in your presence. I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. Just tell him that now. I just want you, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, and nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, and nothing else, and nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, and nothing else, and nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, and nothing else, and nothing else, nothing else will do. Come to you, Lord. And we're hungry for you, Lord. And we're desperate for you, Lord. I'm caught up in your presence. And I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessing. Jesus, you don't owe me anything. 'Cause more than anything that you can do, I just want you.
Well, it is good to be with you as we get started here. This is our first ever online service for our student ministry, and so we're just glad to be with you. As we get started, we want to say we miss you. We're excited about what the Lord is doing. This has been a season that has just been different for all of us. We've been walking through some hard times for you, some of you. This has just kind of been a season where you've been a little bit anxious. Maybe you've been anxious about the health of a family member. Maybe you've been anxious about the financial situation in your household. Some of you guys, this has just been hard because it's been a season when you've been missing out on things. For some of you, you've been missing out on your senior year. You've been missing out on time with your friends. And we know that this is not what we would design. This is not something that we want to go through. And yet, we're here. And so we believe that even here, God can work. And so today, we're going to start a series called Even Here, believing that even in the midst of the chaos that we're going through, even in the midst of the circumstances that we're walking through, God is going to meet us and continue to walk alongside of us. As we go through this series, we're going to be looking at the life of Daniel. Daniel is a guy who is right in the middle of what we're going through, times about 10. He's going through stuff that he would never plan to go through, and yet, even there, God moves in a powerful way, so much so that at the end of his life, he would look and say, man, this is exactly where I needed to be. This is exactly what the Lord wanted me to walk through. So as we go through this, we're hoping that you learn the lessons that Daniel learns, and we walk in the way that Daniel would walk. And so as we get started, we're going to start in chapter 1. We're just going to kind of walk through that today and learn these lessons that Daniel would teach us. And so as you look at chapter 1, what you'll see is this is kind of divided up into 3 parts. Just a little bit of a backstory here. we're looking at the nation of Judah. This is God's chosen people. And kind of how this starts is Judah is set apart by God. And God would say, look, Judah, if you'll just follow me, if you'll just trust in me, if you'll just walk in what I would have for you, then things will go well. Things will go exactly the way that you want them to go. But whenever they start walking, what happens is Judah chooses other things. Judah chooses other gods, they choose their comfort, they choose their pride, and they keep turning away from God and turning towards other things. And so God comes and he warns them and he says, look guys, look, this goes a whole lot better if you follow me. This goes a whole lot better if you walk in what I would have you walk in. So God sends prophet after prophet, and what Judah does is they continually turn their back on God. And so this is not Daniel's fault as we kind of walk through this story. This is happening long before Daniel even gets on the scene. And yet, Daniel kind of suffers some of the consequences of the actions of the people of Judah. And so as you kind of walk through this story, what happens is because of their rebellion, God allows the nation of Babylon to come and teach them a lesson, bring them into exile. It's a lot like when I was in high school. My mom was the sweetest lady. I took advantage of her just a little bit. I knew that my mom would do anything for me, right? And so as we kind of walked through my high school years, what would happen was I would forget a homework assignment, and then I'd just call my mom. She'd be at work. I'd call her up. I'd say, Mom, I forgot my homework. And as that happened, my mom would go home from work, go get my homework, bring it up to me. And she kept telling me, Matthew, you got to be more responsible. Like, this has consequences, all this different stuff. And I'd be like, yeah, Mom, yeah, okay. But as we walked through this, one time, my mom finally allowed me to get a bad grade on my homework, where I called her. I said, Mom, listen, like, I've got to have this homework. I've got to have this schoolwork. And she said, Matthew, I can't right now. Like, I really can't do this. I'm going to allow you to learn this lesson, right? And so as we went through this, I actually got the 0. And my mom allowed me to learn this tough lesson. This is kind of like what God is doing for the nation of Judah here. He is allowing them to kind of pursue what they wanted and turn away from God and learn the lesson that it doesn't go well. But Daniel's here right in the middle of it. And so what ends up happening in the story is, as a 12 to 14-year-old boy, Daniel, along with all of the wealthy, all of the intelligent, all of the noble class of Judah, get taken from Judah, from their home, over to the nation of Babylon. It's about 1,700 miles away, and they would never see their homeland again. And so as you think about this, not because Daniel's doing anything wrong, just because of the circumstances, Daniel loses his family, he loses his home. Never would he see Jerusalem again. He loses his future. Think about it. He is a wealthy, noble boy from Judah, and he would have a bright future ahead of him, but instead of that future, it's taken away from him. And what you'll see on in the passage is you'll see that even his name is taken from him. And so this is happening because God has allowed it. And so that's kind of the first part that you see in this story. And if that's us, a lot of us would kind of say, man, I'm not going to be obedient to God here then. Like, there's no way that I'm going to choose faithfulness to God. Think about all the things that I have lost. But that's not who Daniel is. Even in the midst of this, Daniel chooses to be faithful to God. Think about some of the reasons why he might have given up. You think about our lives. Life isn't going the way that we expected it. It's not going the way that Daniel expected it to go. And yet he still chooses to be faithful. He could have said, hey guys, I've lost so much. As you look at my life, I've lost my family, I've lost my wealth, I've lost all these different things in my life. There's no way I'm going to risk losing any more. There's no way I'm going to continue to be faithful. As you look at everybody around Daniel, all the Judeans who came with him, what's going to happen is they're going to kind of give up on God. They're going to give up on what faithfulness looks like in their life. And so it would be easy for him to say, man, everybody else is doing whatever they want to do. Why don't I do the same thing? And in this situation, it would be easy for Daniel to just kind of be frustrated with God. Just say, man, I don't know if there's a God who's in control. I don't know if this God is good. And so I'm going to do what I want to do. But that's not what Daniel did. If you look at chapter 1, verse 8, you'll see that Daniel goes a different direction. It says, but Daniel was determined not to defile himself by eating the food and the wine given to them by the king. So let's talk about kind of what's going on here, all right? So what happens is Daniel is brought over into Babylon, and he is given food from the king's table. And kind of what's happening here is the guys are trying to make him least Judean as possible and as most Babylonian as possible. And so he's taking away all the things that are normal to him, taking away all the things that would associate him with his God, because the goal is for Daniel to serve in the king's court, for Daniel to be a Babylonian. And so what ends up happening is they take Daniel's food, and they give Daniel's food, and what's happening here is one of two things. It's either food that is not up to the standard that God would have Daniel eat, or it's food that has been sacrificed to other gods. And so either way, this is a situation where they're trying to move Daniel away from God and move him towards Babylonian gods, move him towards other things. But what Daniel does is he says, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay faithful to my God. I'm going to continue to serve my one true God. What he's saying in this moment is, man, I might be in Babylon, but Babylon is not going to be in me. And so what he does is he talks to the guard. He talks to the person who's kind of over him, and he says, hey, look, I can't do this. I have my own set of things that I need to follow. Can you please just test me, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Test us for 10 days. I want us to eat vegetables. I want us to drink water. Let the other guys eat the food, eat the steak, eat all the things from the king's table. And I want you to test us after 10 days. See what I look like, see what we look like, see that we're healthy versus what they look like. And then you decide what happens from here on out. And so what ends up happening is after 10 days, scripture says that the men are fatter of flesh. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are fatter of flesh than the other people. They look better than the people who are eating steak, which does not make sense, but that's what God is doing in the midst of the circumstances. And so kind of the third part that we see in this story is that God rewards faithfulness. And so I kind of want to read this here. Verse number 17 is where we'll kind of pick it up. It says, God gave these 4 young men an unusual aptitude for understanding every aspect of literature and wisdom. And God gave Daniel the special ability to interpret the meaning of visions and dreams. When the training period ordered by the king was complete, the chief of the staff brought the young men to King Nebuchadnezzar, brought them to the king. And the king talked to them, and no one impressed him as much as Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So they entered the royal service. So here's what kind of happens here is after this time of 3 years, after they're tested, what happens is God blesses them in an incredible way. He allows them to be smarter than everybody else. He allows them to understand things better than everybody else. He gives them favor socially to the point where the king, as he evaluates them, he recognizes that there's just something special about these guys. Now, if you'll remember, it's not because these guys are any different than the other Judeans who are brought into the king's service. It's only because God is with them. And so as you kind of look at this, what you're able to see is the only edge we need as Christians is God's favor on our sides, that God would be walking before us, that he would be moving ahead of us. It's not through us studying that much more. It's not through us taking that many more drills. It's not through anything like that. It's just through God's favor on our lives. And that only happens because of Daniel's faithfulness. And so what ends up happening is, what you see in verse 20, when the king consulted them in any matter requiring wisdom or balanced judgment, he found them 10 times more capable than any of his magicians or enchanters in the kingdom. And Daniel remained in the royal service until the first year of the king of Cyrus. So this is kind of the summary of what's happening. After this kind of goes through, it's about 70 years that Daniel is in this court. forward. And so as we look at this, I want to draw out some things that kind of help us today. The first one is that I want to say, even here, God is in control. As you look at Daniel's life, there's lots of reasons for him to kind of say, man, God's not in control here. God's not doing what I thought he would do. As you look at your life, you could kind of say, man, this is not working the way that I wanted it to. I am worried about my family. I'm worried about finances. My senior year has been taken from me. All these different things that aren't going the way that you expected them to go. There's lots of room for you to say, man, I don't know if God's in control here. And what happens is the enemy starts to take that seed of doubt, starts to take that thought and allows you to kind of run with it and say, yeah, you're right. God isn't good. God isn't in control. God's not doing what he promised. You should not be faithful to him. What I want to say is stop right there. God is in control. He is good. So much so that at the end of Daniel's life, Daniel would say, I know a lot was taken from me, but this is exactly where I needed to be. And so as you look at this, the second thing that I want to draw out is even here, faithfulness is an option. Faithfulness is an option. Now, this isn't easy. This is actually quite difficult. Just like you see in Daniel's life, lots of reasons are going to pop up about why you shouldn't be faithful. You're going to look and you're going to be able to say, look, my friends, they're not following Jesus. They're not being faithful. Why should I do this? You're going to look and you're going to say, man, it would be so easy to take this shortcut. It would be so easy to take that direction. It would be so easy to go in this route. And you even might be, as you kind of look at reasons why you shouldn't be faithful, you might even come to situations where you're frustrated with God. But I want you to know today that faithfulness is an option for you. And it's not just an option, it's the best option for your life. The last thing we kind of want to point out from this story is even here, even in the midst of our circumstances, even in the midst of the craziness that Daniel was walking through, even here, God blesses faithfulness. I don't know what that looks like for your life. For Daniel, that looked like him being elevated socially. That looked like him being able to serve the king. It looked like him having fame in the land. It looks like all these different things. I'm not going to promise that it means that you're going to make the team that you want to make. I'm not going to promise that you're going to get into the school that you want to get into. But I can promise that when God blesses your faithfulness, it does look better than anything else the world has to offer. And so as we kind of look through this, what we want to do is we want to encourage you to walk in faithfulness. I want to kind of move into what this looks like for us in our lives. The first thing that I would say is that as we look at even here, God blesses faithfulness, I want you to know that we are trying our best to walk faithfully through this season. We know, I would so much rather be with you in person. I would so much rather you be sitting here in this room. I would so much rather not be talking to this camera, but I am, because we believe that God blesses faithfulness. And we believe that even here, even though it might seem better for us to be in person and us to be interacting, even here, God can bless what's happening. Even here, you can hear what's going on and your life can be changed. We believe that with all of our heart. We believe that even here, God can grow our groups. He can call people into salvation. He can move in your life and bring hope. And so we're leaning into this with all that we have. And we want to invite you to lean into God's faithfulness here too. And so I think that listening to this sermon, we've got a bunch of different people. I would say that we have some people who are believers, like you know about God's faithfulness and you're trying to live your life in such a way that you're leaning into God's faithfulness. Today, this sermon might be a reminder to you, maybe just a reminder that it is worth it. That even when things come up and they're tempting and your ground's kind of shaking a little bit, that God is faithful, and so we can continue to walk with him through that. And so as you are listening to this might just be a moment where you just want to kind of plant your marker in the ground saying, I'm going to continue to be faithful. Just like Daniel, I'm going to resolve in my heart to walk before him. For some of you in this audience, you're probably saying, man, I am a Christian. Like I know what, I think I'm a Christian. I started to walk faithfully with God at one point in time, but as I look at my life, I've kind of got off path. And now I would kind of say that, I can't be faithful because I've blown it so many times in the past. Can I just let you know, none of us here are perfect. None of us get this right 100% of the time. God's not looking for us to be perfect. He's looking for us to be persistent. And so as we kind of move forward, what I want you to do is stop focusing so much on what you've done and start looking to the cross at what Jesus has done. And then as you kind of move forward, what we want to do is we want to have you say, man, I'm not choosing this anymore, and I am choosing faithfulness towards God. Start over, starting today. Look at him. There's a last group, as we kind of wind this down, there's a last group of you who would say, Matthew, I don't have any faith because I don't know that God that you're talking about. As you look at Daniel's faithfulness, it seems as though Daniel has a relationship with somebody. He knows something about somebody. I don't know that somebody, but I'm interested. If that's you, man, I would love nothing more to introduce you to this Jesus today. Let me close us in prayer, and we will continue into our time of groups. Father God, we just thank you for who you are. We thank you that you're a God who's completely in control. We thank you that you're a God who gives us an option to choose faithfulness to you, that it's messy and that we mess it up a lot of times. But as we choose faithfulness to you, Lord God, you're a God who blesses our faithfulness. Lord, we love you. We ask you these things in your name. Amen.
What a solid reminder. Faithfulness isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. And if you want to dive deeper by getting into a small group, or if you have any questions about today's message, go ahead and text the number on the screen. And make sure you stay up to date on all things SH High School by following us on social media. We had such an awesome time with you today. And remember to meet us back here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. See you real soon.